Iraq is struggling to cope with drought. According to officials, some 1,200 people have been forced out of southern marsh.
The Euphrates River, once the lifeblood of ancient Mesopotamia, has flowed through the cradle of civilization for thousands of years. It's more than just a body of water. It's a river steeped in myth, history, and spiritual prophecy. Stretching over 1,700 miles through modern-day Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, the Euphrates is mentioned throughout the Bible, in both the Old and New Testaments. But in recent years, it's not the geography or historical significance that has caught the world's attention. It's what's happening beneath its drying riverbeds. As the Euphrates continues to dry up, strange discoveries have emerged from beneath its surface. People across the globe, from scientists to theologians, have been stunned by what's being uncovered. Ancient ruins, mysterious cave systems, fossilized remains, and eerie sounds have sparked global conversations. But even more unsettling is the realization that these discoveries eerily align with ancient biblical prophecies, particularly those found in the book of Revelation. The Bible has always spoken of signs that would mark the end times, and among the many prophecies, one stands out as particularly chilling: the prophecy in Revelation 16:12. It reads, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." This passage has long been interpreted by theologians as a symbolic reference to a time of great conflict, upheaval, and the emergence of unimaginable events. For centuries it remained an abstract idea, but as satellite images and first-hand reports confirm the Euphrates is drying at an unprecedented rate, questions about the prophecy's literal fulfillment are becoming more urgent. But it's not just the drying of the river that has people on edge. It's what's being found as the waters recede. Locals in Iraq and Syria have reported unearthing what appear to be ancient cities, long buried and preserved under the Euphrates currents. Archaeologists have begun excavating stone structures that date back thousands of years, possibly to the time of Sumer or even earlier. Some speculate these could be remnants of forgotten civilizations mentioned only briefly in myth or scripture. Others believe these could be the remains of biblical cities referenced in the Old Testament, places that once defied God and met with divine judgment. Even more chilling are the reports of strange sounds echoing from newly exposed caves along the riverbanks. Videos have surfaced online, some of them showing deep gaping holes in the earth emitting haunting, guttural noises. Some describe them as cries or roars, while others insist they sound like chains dragging across stone. These sounds have been linked by some to another passage in Revelation, chapter 9, verses 14 to 15, where it speaks of 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates, waiting to be released to wreak havoc upon the earth. The passage says, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." According to this vision, these angels are not heavenly messengers, they are beings of destruction. The idea of bound angels may sound symbolic, but the tone of the text and the mounting reports from the Euphrates region are leading many to question whether it could be more literal than once believed. These aren't ordinary angels, but possibly ancient, powerful entities restrained for millennia, only to be released during the final days. Could the strange noises be related to this biblical vision? Are we witnessing prophecy unfold in real time? In addition to the unsettling sounds, the Euphrates' exposed ground has revealed ancient tombs, cryptic inscriptions, and artifacts that hint at religious rituals and dark ceremonies. Some of these artifacts are covered in symbols that don't match any known writing systems, while others appear to show figures with wings, serpentine features, or hybrid forms, half human, half beast. These discoveries are fueling speculation that what lies beneath the Euphrates may not only be historical, but also deeply spiritual, even demonic in nature. Historians and religious scholars have pointed out that Jesus, during his ministry, often warned his followers about being alert for signs of the times. In Matthew 24, Jesus outlines a series of events that would signal the approach of the end: wars and rumors of wars, famines, earthquakes, and fearful signs from heaven. But perhaps his most urgent message was for believers to remain spiritually awake. He warned that many would be deceived, and that spiritual darkness would masquerade as light. Now, as the Euphrates recedes and strange phenomena come to light, some believe this is the very deception Jesus warned about. Not just a political or social crisis, but a spiritual one, disguised within archaeological discovery and natural phenomena. It's as if the veil between the physical and spiritual realms is thinning, and we are starting to see what lies just beneath the surface. One of the most puzzling elements found beneath the Euphrates are large carved stone structures resembling temples or altars. These are not simple buildings, but elaborate, geometrically precise constructions that suggest a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and ritual. Some of these structures are oriented to celestial bodies, like the moon or certain star constellations, indicating that the people who built them had a strong connection with the heavens. But were they reaching out to divine powers, or something else entirely? Inscriptions on the walls show humanoid figures bowing before beings with exaggerated features, elongated skulls, large eyes, and reptilian textures. This has led to speculation that these could be representations of fallen angels, or Nephilim, the giants mentioned in Genesis 6:4, described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. These hybrid beings were said to have corrupted humanity to such an extent that God sent the great flood to wipe the earth clean. Could the drying Euphrates be exposing their ancient dwellings? To make things even stranger, several of the underground chambers appear to have been sealed deliberately. Massive stone doors, covered in sigils and bolted shut with ancient iron mechanisms, suggest that someone, long ago, was trying to keep something from getting out, not just preserving it for future generations. What did they know? What were they afraid of? As these structures are analyzed, some researchers have started to raise serious questions. Could it be that ancient people actually succeeded in imprisoning powerful entities? Could these be the 4 angels mentioned in Revelation, bound by divine command until the appointed hour? If these entities truly exist and were sealed beneath the Euphrates thousands of years ago, the implications are staggering. It would mean that ancient humans were not only aware of supernatural forces, but interacted with them to the extent that they felt compelled or were instructed to contain them. The drying of the river, then, would not be a simple environmental phenomenon. It would be the removal of a barrier, a divine time lock, slowly ticking toward a predestined moment. The Euphrates River doesn't just hold significance in the book of Revelation. It also appears earlier in the Bible as one of the 4 rivers flowing out of the Garden of Eden. In Genesis 2:10-14, the river is part of the original divine geography, its presence linking humanity's beginning with what could now be its end. This duality makes it even more symbolic, a river that once nourished the world now exposing the foundations of destruction, a source of life turned harbinger of prophecy. Many theologians and prophecy scholars argue that these are not coincidences. They believe God uses the natural world to communicate with humanity, to warn, to prepare, and to awaken the spiritually asleep. In Luke 21:25-26, Jesus says, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." In this age of increasing global instability, pandemics, wars, environmental disasters, some see the drying Euphrates and its dark revelations as yet another urgent sign. Interestingly, Islamic eschatology also places great importance on the Euphrates River. In hadiths, sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, There is a prediction that the Euphrates will uncover a mountain of gold over which people will fight and kill, with only 1 out of 100 surviving. Some interpret this literally, suggesting the drying river will lead to valuable mineral or oil discoveries that spark war. Others see it as symbolic, a reference to the uncovering of powerful truths or buried secrets that nations would kill to control. Either way, the overlap between Christian and Islamic prophecy underscores the significance of this river in humanity's spiritual consciousness. The convergence of ancient scripture, real-time environmental change, and unexplained archaeological discoveries is forming a narrative that is difficult to ignore, not just for religious individuals, but for scientists and skeptics alike. The very fact that once inaccessible sites are now revealing secrets forces us to confront possibilities that were once relegated to fiction or faith alone. And it's not just what's being physically uncovered, it's the psychological and emotional reaction these findings provoke in people across the world. As more images and videos circulate online showing ancient staircases leading underground, shadowy caverns, and mysterious figures carved into stone, a collective unease is spreading. People are asking questions about their faith, about the state of the world, and about what might come next. The sense of urgency is growing, not just among believers, but among everyday people who feel something is shifting in the world around them. Jesus often spoke in parables, using everyday elements to illustrate profound spiritual truths, but his warnings about the end times were direct and sobering. He described a world where deception would run rampant, where even the elect could be misled, and where events would unfold rapidly, catching many off guard. The drying Euphrates, with all its strange revelations, fits into that picture with unnerving precision. It's not just the facts themselves, it's the timing, the global climate, and the increasing alignment with ancient texts that make this moment feel apocalyptic. What if the Euphrates is just the beginning? What if this river's recession is the first domino in a chain of prophetic events? That idea doesn't just live in speculation, it's supported by patterns in nature, history, and scripture. Every empire that once thrived on the Euphrates, Babylon, Assyria, Sumer, eventually collapsed. Each one tried to harness divine power, and each one fell, often violently. Their ruins now resurface, like ghosts of forgotten warnings, whispering through the sand and stone. Adding another layer to this mystery is the geopolitical tension building around the Euphrates. Turkey, Syria, and Iraq all depend on the river, and disputes over dam projects and water rights have already sparked political conflict. But what happens when the drying river reveals something that's not just of religious or historical value, but military importance? If an ancient power source, a technological anomaly, or a spiritual artifact were found, who would control it? Who would be trusted with it? This is where biblical prophecy intersects with modern reality. Revelation speaks of great wars, not just physical, but spiritual, a battle between light and darkness, truth and deception. And the Euphrates, once a simple river, now becomes the front line, not of traditional warfare, but of spiritual awakening, confrontation, and perhaps even redemption. As Jesus warned in Matthew 24:33, "When you see all these things, know that it is near, right at the door." These things, strange discoveries, environmental shifts, global turmoil, are all converging now. The Euphrates, once a symbol of abundance and power, is drying, and what it's revealing is forcing humanity to look back at ancient scriptures with new eyes. The shocking discoveries, the eerie sounds, the ancient ruins and sealed chambers, these are not just pieces of the past. They may be signals of the future. The line between history and prophecy is blurring. The physical and the spiritual are colliding. And whether you're a believer or a skeptic, there's no denying that something extraordinary is happening beneath the Euphrates River. The world is watching, some with fear, others with curiosity. But those who have studied the Scriptures, those who have listened to the warnings of Jesus, may be watching with something else. Preparedness. Because if what is being found beneath the Euphrates is indeed what was foretold, then the question isn't whether the world should be shocked, it's whether we're ready for what comes next. The readiness Jesus spoke of wasn't about knowing exact dates or deciphering every mysterious sign. It was about the state of the heart. He said to be vigilant, to keep watch, and to remain faithful even when the world seemed confusing and chaotic. The discoveries in the Euphrates River are reminders of how ancient truths still echo in our modern world. They call out, not just to confirm prophecy, but to stir people awake, to shake loose the numbness that comfort and distraction have settled over many lives. For centuries, the river served as a dividing line, geographically, culturally, and spiritually. In prophecy, it is also a boundary between eras, between what was and what's to come. Its drying signals the crossing of a threshold, perhaps not in a single moment, but in a series of shifts, each one deeper, more revealing, and more consequential than the last. From ancient texts to real-world tremors, the earth is speaking, and so is something beyond the earth. The haunting sounds recorded from the Euphrates caves, those rumblings, those eerie echoes, continue to circulate, analyzed by audio engineers, debated by scholars, and feared by spiritual leaders. Could they be natural? Perhaps. Could they be staged or fabricated? Maybe. But even the possibility that they are real and linked to a prophecy thousands of years old is enough to turn curiosity into conviction for many who once doubted. And yet, amid all the fear and speculation, there is a deeper message, one that Jesus continually emphasized. Do not fear. Be ready. He never promised a life free of turmoil. In fact, he said the opposite, that in this world there would be trouble. But he also promised peace even in chaos and guidance even in darkness. The Euphrates may be unveiling ancient forces, but it also unveils a choice between despair and hope, blindness and awareness, fear and faith. The imagery of Revelation is vivid and sometimes terrifying, but it was never meant to leave readers paralyzed. Instead, it was given as a roadmap, a warning, yes, but also a light in the darkness. What's found beneath the Euphrates may be the unfolding of a divine timetable, one humanity can't stop, but one we can prepare for, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Because if ancient powers are stirring, then so too must we. And as this river exposes the long-hidden truths of civilizations past, the true question becomes, what is it exposing within us? Are we ready to face the spiritual realities these discoveries point toward? Or are we content to explain them away, dismiss them, and return to our distractions? Jesus didn't just warn of the end. He invited people to life, real life, not rooted in fear, but in truth. He spoke of the narrow path, the watchful servant, the wise virgin keeping her lamp lit. These weren't abstract metaphors. They were blueprints for survival, not just physical survival, but spiritual endurance. When the Euphrates finally runs dry, when the last remnants of water slip away and what lies beneath is fully revealed, it may not be a mountain of gold or a lost city that shakes the world the most. It might be the realization that the ancient texts were right all along. That prophecy was never just poetry, that the spiritual realm was always closer than we imagined. And if that day comes, those who listened to the warnings, those who understood the signs, won't be shocked. They'll be ready, because while the world looks outward at the Euphrates, true preparation happens inward, in the heart, the soul, and the spirit. In the end, what was found in the Euphrates River did more than shock the world. It reawakened it, and that may be the greatest revelation of all.